Just as sunflowers chase the sun, inductees into the South Dakota Hall of Fame chase their dreams day after day, year after year. The 700-plus inductees in the Hall of Fame come from all backgrounds and corners of our state. What their stories have in common is their unwavering courage and belief in their dreams. These dream chasers are an inspiration for us all to strive for excellence and believe in our own potential to chase dreams well into the future.
2016 inductee Elizabeth Meyer worked for the first mammography and breast cancer screening program in South Dakota, presenting over 80 educational sessions on American Cancer Society screening mammography guidelines. She then launched the first mobile mammography services available to rural hospitals and clinics in a 3-state area. Elizabeth was awarded the Unsung Hero honor from the National Conference of State Legislators Women's Network for heading up state-mandated insurance coverage for mammography screening. Her leadership helped the South Dakota Susan G. Komen Foundation raise $1 million, providing funding for numerous SD breast health programs through the All Women Count program.
Hello, I'm Miles Beacom with the South Dakota Hall of Fame, and today I have the 2016 inductee in the South Dakota Hall of Fame, Betty Meyer. So Betty, welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Miles, for having me.
You have just an incredible background. Could you start with your childhood and just kind of talk to us about your decision making and what profession you went into and why?
You know, I guess I always felt like I wanted to serve others, and I think that's how we're made. And I think that that's where satisfaction comes from, is because we're made to do that. And I always felt that need to do that and to then feel rewarded for doing that and then feeling at peace. And so I guess as a child, I had a couple grandmothers that always said, "We expect great things from you." And I thought, what in the world does that mean? Because I was extremely shy. And I couldn't really raise my hand until I was like in the 4th grade, I think, because I was so shy to reach out and say something out loud. So I really didn't know what that meant until later on, and I broke my arm and had an X-ray. And I thought, oh boy, that girl, she really knew what she was doing. I should look into that. But then I had a guidance counselor that said, oh no, that, you know, you'd be bored if you were just doing X-rays all day. But something kind of nudged me forward with that, and I felt like I could make a difference. And I don't know why, but I pursued that and was called to interview when mammography became existent in 1983 and got really interested in that profession.
That's a lot of extra work that you had to do. What were some of the things that you had to do just to be educated in that field?
Well, I had to, first of all, learn from the University of Oklahoma the proper way of doing mammography, and there weren't any programs near Sioux Falls. And it just so happened a radiologist from South Dakota ran one of the most successful programs at that time at the University of Oklahoma. So I went there for training, and she was so encouraging to me to branch out and offer more than just mammograms, and so she really inspired me as well.
Oh, great. So then you brought all that experience back to South Dakota then, and you had all of these conferences and meetings and educational sessions. All that coming from that shy young lady back then, but you knew the value and you knew how important that was for the women in South Dakota. So did it catch on? Were the groups there wanting to learn more?
The thing that really turned it was that the women weren't normally going in for screening mammograms. They were waiting until they had symptoms of breast cancer. So this was a new idea for women's health. We developed a focus group of survivors to find out what their experience were, you know, what kind of gaps there were. And one of the gaps was that the insurance industry was against paying for screening mammograms. And I found out then that we were the second to the last state to have that coverage for women. And so we took our survivors on a Greyhound bus 3 years in a row to Pierre, and we had legislators that wrote the bill. And so when it was presented in committee, they testified about how important this was, that it saved their lives.
Again, Betty, I just look at it. You really took on an incredible challenge, and it took a little longer than you wanted, but what an accomplishment when you look at that. I just, again, go back to the beginning, the shy young lady that wouldn't raise her hand in class to picking up the phone, making these cold calls to the doctors around the country to better the life of the women in South Dakota. It's amazing. Betty, what would you tell young people today about chasing their dreams and just encouraging them to continue on and chase their dreams, and there's opportunity in South Dakota? What would you say to the youth?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because how are we going to learn unless we make mistakes that we learn from? And number two is, our desire to be passionate about something and not be afraid if people look at you differently and think that, there's something peculiar. Don't be afraid about that. Don't let that stop you, because you're not the only one that feels that way. You just have to search for what inspires you and who inspires you, and dig deep for that desire to serve others. Because when you serve others, that's what makes you happy.